So without further ado, let's go to the Zoom machine and now say hello to Miesha Tate. We're keeping things rolling here this morning. Hello, Miesha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you too, and thank you for joining us. I know you have your show coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM, Throwing It Down with Renee and Miesha. I still feel like it should be Miesha and Renee, if I'm being honest. A-side, you know.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
what a compliment.
I'm going to put in
Renee
a good word.
is great though, so it's, playing second fiddle to her is no offense. She's fantastic. She's got a great sense of humor. So I'm a lot of times I find myself trying to keep up with her on the radio.
I must say I'm a massive Renee fan. I'm just trying to stir the pot here a little bit, and she's a Canadian sister, so I'm a big fan of hers and yours. So big news: is this happening? 125? Is this a real thing? You going down?
Yes, that is my intention. I have made the commitment to go down to 125.
Why?
Well, a few reasons. I think I automatically assumed that 135 was always my weight class because that's all there ever was. When I got into Strikeforce, it was only 135 and 145. And when I got into the UFC, it was only 135. And by the time 125 came around, I was just so enveloped it at 135, trying to win that title and the rivalry, obviously with Ronda. And then I did win it against Holly. But as the sport has evolved, I've just very rarely ever had a reach advantage. I've rarely had a height advantage. And I started thinking about things like, Jose Aldo dropping weight classes. There's been a lot of different instances. Henry Cejudo, what he did was a 2-weight class champ, but even Valentina Shevchenko, she was a great fighter at 135, but she was never dominant. And I've just seen it now a lot of times where I think that might be my true weight class, if I'm being honest. I think that I could actually have some physical advantages in that weight class that I rarely have at 135. I don't feel like there's a strength discrepancy at 135, but I could only imagine fighting women that are built to be 10 pounds smaller could lend itself to really showing my greatness as opposed to fighting these Goliaths, where I just feel like I've got to give it a shot, right? I've got to give it a shot.
Was there something in particular about that fight against Ketlen Vieira that made you think, all right, it's time to do this?
She was very long in her reach. She had a really long reach. So that was certainly something that factored in. She felt really tall and just big inside there. Absolutely. Again, I don't feel like it was a strength thing. I don't feel like that's a fight that I couldn't have won. I didn't win it. And I still think that looking back on it, I'm kind of kicking myself for not being more aggressive and more wrestling heavy. But it wasn't just that fight in particular. This is just a career move that I think could be more promising for becoming a champion. And, another reason, although I know I'm a little bit away from getting a potential title shot, but with Julie being crowned the champion at 135, also, I would just prefer if we could be champions at the same time together and Pacific Northwest takeover.
Yes, I like that as well. Do you also feel, regardless of Juliana's status, is there a part of you that feels like the road to the championship, because there just aren't a ton of big names at 125, and also Valentina has beaten all the contenders? I mean, I think her next opponent might be Tyler Santos, who's like 8 or 9 at this point, just because she's beaten everyone else. It's just a little shorter to get a title shot at 125 as opposed to 35.
It is. And I can absolutely always go back up to 135. So I feel like this is kind of a no harm, no foul. It's something that would bother me if I didn't pursue it, because it's been on my mind for a while. I've really been weighing out all of the options. And seeing some of the women who were meant to be at 125, once they went down and were really shining, I think Valentina would be the best case to draw that kind of scenario. Maybe 125 was always where I was meant to be. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, my first fight back with Marion Renault, the morning of the fight, so after making 136, or I think I weighed in at 135 actually. I only got back up to 139 pounds. So I'm not putting on the size and the weight. And it's by design. I don't want to have large weight cuts. However, that was a non-existent weight cut.
Wow.
I didn't even cut weight.
Super easy.
So it's just that I think that my frame and my build and everything that could come together really well for me at 125.
Now, in life, we are obviously told the gentlemen are told never to ask a woman about her weight, but we are talking about a weight class. Fighting is different, right? Different rules. Could I ask, like right now-ish, like when you're not in camp, what do you walk around at?
Low 140s.
Okay. So this shouldn't be too bad for you, right? I mean, are you dreading it? How do you feel?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be too bad for me. It's just a matter of being diligent and just changing a bit of the program design. I don't want to have a big weight cut, but I'm okay with having a weight cut. And the last camp, I was a little bit bigger, just a couple pounds. We had put on some muscle. I had a very small, easy weight cut. I think the weight cut will be, slightly more intense, but I just need to focus on getting body mass down to a reasonable area to cut, but I don't think I'm very far off from that. I know a lot of 125-pound women who sit right at about 140 pounds. That's about average for a 125-pound female outside of camp. And that's where I sit also. So I think that maybe this might be the right move. I hope.
Was there any part of you, in addition to, her length and all that in retrospect felt, because we were talking, hey, you win this fight, you could be next for Amanda, all that stuff. Was there any part of you that maybe looked past Ketlen in retrospect?
Honestly, I knew that Ketlen had some great things that she could bring to the fight. I don't feel like I looked past her because I always know in the moment, and I'm never going to change that. I'm always going to have my short, mid, and long-term goals. And I think that's okay. It would be ridiculous to say, I'm not going to fight. I'm already looking at Valentina. You know what I mean? Like whoever that I end up fighting at 125, I mean, the long-term goal is that. So I'm always going to have that long-term goal. And I don't think that anyone should be faulted for that. And I don't think that I look past her at all. No, not whatsoever. I mean, I definitely thought I was focused on that fight. I know I was focused on that fight at that time. I think what ended up happening is that the corner was very chill and I stayed very chill the whole fight. I kind of didn't get that feedback of like, hey, now's the time to go. And, it's just tough. It was a tough dynamic. It was a learning situation. I look at that fight as a bit of a sophomore slump. If it was any fight that I was going to lose in my comeback, that was the fight to lose. And it was close. I mean, it really came down to one round. I lost one round more than, she did. I lost 3 rounds to 1. Although I disagree with round 1. Of all the rounds, I really thought that round 1 was my round. I ended up on top. I had any of the clinch control. I even had the striking count. I feel like I was more aggressive. It wasn't like a landslide by any means, but marginally, I thought I won the round in each area, marginally. But all 3 judges scored that round against me, so that was really interesting. But regardless, I didn't walk away with the win. I did never put my foot on the gas pedal. The other thing is that my conditioning is so good that I've never experienced this before, where I don't feel tight. I don't feel the level of exhaustion that I would recognize in my other fights that would tell me this is the time that you've got to go. When you start feeling that point of tired, sometimes you've got to put a little more so that you can get it to a place where you could rest if you needed to, or you've just got to push beyond that wall. I never even hit that. So I'm kicking myself for it because I know I had so much more to offer. And that's the worst feeling, worse than a loss, is to know that you didn't put everything out there. And I didn't realize that 5 rounds had gone by. I mean, it just kind of flew by and I was like, wait a minute, we're done. And what can I say? I made a mistake and I'm going to correct that.
Will you change anything in the corner for the next one?
I believe that I will have Eric Nixick back into the corner. He wasn't a part of this corner for A couple reasons. One, I needed a body. I needed somebody my size. And Maida, my training partner, she spoke Portuguese, which I felt like was important. So, and Johnny was important to be in there. And then obviously Rick is, but the hard part about Rick is being remote.
Yeah.
You know, he's not here all the time. And so there was a little bit of miscommunications in the corner, and it wasn't but there's no fingers to be pointed. Nobody did anything malicious. Nobody did anything bad. It's just that it's difficult to orchestrate a camp when, one of your coaches is not able to be here the majority of the time. So I need somebody who can be hands-on, who can tell me, that's there every day, that sees my work, that can communicate what I need to do. So I think that Eric bringing him back into the corner is something that I'm probably going to look to do.
By the way, why did you need someone who spoke Portuguese?
Because I thought it was important to know what they were telling her in the corner.
Ah, interesting. Okay. And so was she relaying that info to you?
She was relaying it to the corner. However, it didn't get relayed in the messaging. So that was a little bit of a disappointment as well, but it's hard. This is a hard job to do.
Yeah.
I think if I had known that they were scolding her for shooting, I definitely think that could have changed things a little bit as well. I wasn't aware of that. And I wasn't aware that they were just trying to time the right hand. These are things that you're in the apex, if somebody was speaking English, I would be hearing it too. You know what I mean? But not knowing those things. So I wasn't aware of that during the fight. It probably could have changed things a little bit for me. You
like the Lauren Murphy matchup?
If that's the fight that's next, okay. I do. I like that a lot. I have not been officially scheduled about, so I don't know who it'll be for sure. But if it's somebody in the top 5, I'll be really excited. The way that it could definitely be Lauren. And if I fought Lauren Murphy, it took Valentina 4 rounds to take her out. I've got 3. I think it would make a pretty good case. She just fought for the title, right? So yeah, that would be a good one. And I'm a major fan of Lauren. I love her to death. She's just awesome and a great fighter. So that would be a very fun fight.
Is there any chance it's not Lauren?
Of course. That possible? I haven't signed a bout agreement.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
So I have not even been presented a bout agreement. So I don't know for sure. But there's definitely a chance it's not Lauren.
Do you like the idea of fighting in May?
I do. I think that's perfect timing for me. I think we're on schedule to make 126 by May. I probably could have even done it a little bit sooner, but I think May 14th is a good date for me.
There was some back and forth with Aspen. It didn't seem like you really considered that, right? To stick around at 135 to settle whatever issues there were between you guys. That wasn't something really top of mind for you.
No, it wasn't very interesting to me. I just want to know that she's on par to make 135. It's not personal for me. I don't have a vendetta against Aspen Ladd. I just call it like it is. And the truth hurts sometimes and it offends people. And that's how I see it. So I understand that it probably ruffled her feathers. It wasn't probably what she wanted to hear about about manipulating the weight on the scale and things like that. But if I come back to 135 and if she can consistently make it, it's not a fight that I'm avoiding. I think she's a great fighter. And we'll see what happens. But from my humble opinion, I think that 145 is probably a more well-suited weight class for her anyways. So I think we're a ways off from that. But no, not a fight that I'm avoiding, just not a fight that I'm interested in until I know I'm not wasting my time. And Ariel, you're a parent, you're a busy man. I mean, could you imagine if you went and did all this preparation and work and then all of a sudden whatever that opportunity was just off through no fault of your own? I don't want to take that risk. So, someone else can do it. Irene. Yeah, I think she agreed to take that fight. So I hope that it works out. I hope that Aspen can make the weight. I don't wish her any ill will.
Were you surprised? I know you have a relationship with her, you know her very well, but Juliana beating Amanda, one of the biggest upsets that we've ever seen. Were you surprised when that happened, or were you really confident?
Of course, there's an element of surprise. Amanda seemed almost unstoppable at the time. However, I was the one person advocating, saying, Julie has a path to victory here, you guys. I mean, yes, Amanda is deadly. And if she hits anybody, they can go down, and she does it really well. So yes, this is a challenge for her. However, Julie is not someone to be intimidated by all of the other hype and all of the other things. At the end of the day, Julie breaks it down very simply. She's just another woman. And I love that approach. Julie had the right mentality, and she had the tools to beat it. And that's another thing that I said was, we haven't seen somebody take Amanda to the ground in a really long time, and put her in compromising positions in a really long time. And I knew Julie was the person to be able to do that. So I was really happy for her.
It seems like no one's giving her any kind of respect going into a potential rematch. Like, everyone thinks like, oh, of course, Amanda slipped and she'll right the wrong and beat her.
They're crazy.
You think she wins the rematch?
I don't think her. Yes, absolutely. She just has a no quit, no give up mentality. And now that the seed of doubt has been planted in Amanda's mind, that's probably where I see the biggest change going. And that's not going to favor Amanda.
By the way, historically, when a champion has a belt, loses it, and they run it back right away, right? So in this case, Amanda fighting, historically, that person who had the belt, I think 9 times out of 10 loses. If you look at the history of the UFC, there is something to be said for maybe getting another fight, building your confidence back up, and then fighting that person that beat you, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense, because once someone dethrones you, it's just such a big tumble, and then you've got to try to fix the things and the mental shift that happens and all of that. I can only imagine it's very challenging to try to get right back up there and fight the person who just figured out how to unlock Pandora's box. You know what I mean? Like, how do you come up with something that they haven't seen if you don't have time to develop or maybe try it on someone else,
I wanted to ask you this before I let you go, because I know you have your show to do. So last week we had Kevin Holland on the show, and he's fighting Alex Oliveira, Cowboy Oliveira. He announced this news via his OnlyFans. You can probably guess where I'm going with this. And you have taken on the entire OnlyFans community, Miesha. Holy smokes. Because I guess you made a comment, and then everyone came after you, fighters, I think adult films, like everyone came after you. It was like left and right. I saw you trying to fight off everyone, like in the cartoons when all the bad guys. What happened here? And do you want to, what pissed them off so much? And do you want to clarify any stance of yours towards going the OnlyFans route?
Yes. First of all, this was not a public statement, although I understand whatever I say on the internet, even if it is just a comment back to a fan on my YouTube channel, not something I've meant publicly, that yes, it can be taken out of context and the media can take and do what they want. I would like to note that none of the headlines actually quoted me. They only used one word that I used. But I have been getting a lot of comments, and even to the point where I feel like it's like harassing me, like, leave me alone. I don't want to have an OnlyFans. I don't want to do that because I feel like in my position, people are already calling for my retirement. They're already writing me off, and I've worked so hard for so long being a pioneer of this sport that I will do everything that I can to be taken as serious as I can. And this is this is not a reflection of how anyone else chooses to lead their life, or if they feel good about doing OnlyFans, then great, do it. I have no problem with women going out there, men going out there, whoever wants to get on OnlyFans, do it. But for me, I don't want to be perceived as someone who is fighting as a secondary, or getting attention for fighting as a secondary. I don't want OnlyFans to be the reason that people are interested in me. So that's just how I choose. I'm engaged. I'm a mother of 2, and I let one fan kind of piss me off, and because it was accumulating of people, start OnlyFans, retire, do an OnlyFans, retire, do an OnlyFans. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, I'm not desperate for that. I want to fight. I don't need money. And that's kind of where my where the clarification goes for that. It's like, I wouldn't just go and sell myself on OnlyFans for just money. I don't need money and I'm not doing this for money. I'm okay, guys. Like, I'm okay. And the word choice I used was wrong. And I'm very sorry if it offended anybody who has an OnlyFans, because it certainly was not my intention. I was not targeting anybody. And I think, look, I love Kendra Lust. I'm just a big supporter of any, I'm going to say women, and people in general, but I'm such a big supporter and a proponent of women doing whatever they want.
Yeah. Well,
long live America. Like, I love the fact that we can have the choices, and I completely support it. I'm just afraid that for my personal journey, people would judge me and look at me like, oh, she just came back to fighting and now she's just going to sell her, make an OnlyFans. Like, and it's just not where I want to go as a mom of two and as a fiance. So that's, I hope, clarifies where I was coming from. I support anybody doing whatever it is that makes them happy. But on my personal journey, I would just appreciate it if the fans would stop asking me to do that.
That is very fair. I would say the naive person in me would say there's probably a compliment in there when they're telling you to do that, right? When they're saying, hey, like, no one's coming to me to ask me to start an OnlyFans, if I'm being honest. So there's a compliment in there. But the fact that I understand that they were offended by the word desperate, and it sounds like you regret using that word. But the fact that, like this idea that someone, the one thing, and I guess people could call it cancel this, whatever, this idea that you can slip up once in a non-offensive way. Like, you did not use any derogatory term, racist term, anything like that. And you were, I saw you getting harassed about this. It's just, it ruins the social media experience for everyone. So I think you've explained yourself quite well. And I'm sorry that you went through that.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I do sincerely apologize if it hurt. Like, I did not want to hurt anyone's feelings or make them feel bad for having OnlyFans. Like, you want to have one, go for it. I support it 100%. But please, you guys, stop asking that of me, because it's not the direction I want to go. I want to pursue fighting, and I appreciate we can all have our individual choice. So let me have mine.
Yes. Amen. And you've launched a YouTube channel as well, where you kind of first put out this 125, 135 thing. What is the URL, or they just search for Miesha Tate, it pops up, yes?
Yeah, you just search for Miesha Tate, it'll pop up. And oh gosh, if I even know the exact URL, I don't know. You guys will find it. It's not difficult to find. It's all over my Instagram if you want to. I appreciate you guys supporting that. Do try to put out news and unique content that you're not going to find anywhere else. So thank you for that. And tune into our radio show on Sirius XM, Throwing Down with Renee and Miesha, is coming up right after this show, actually. Right
after this. So I will let you go. Thank you, as always, for making time for us, Miesha. Good luck with the move down to 125. And yes, do check out Throwing Down with either Renee and Miesha, or Miesha and Renee, whichever way you want to go, on Sirius XM at 2 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate you very much, Miesha. All the best.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, talk to you soon. There she is, the one and only Miesha Tate. Yes, officially moving down to 125. Interesting to hear what she had to say there about Lauren Murphy.